Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Wrestling Merchandise and Memories. Wrestling Merchandise and Memories is, of course, brought to you by CanadianBulldogsWorld.com, your scrapbook for wrestling merchandise and memories. I am Canadian Bulldog, and joined with me, as always, is the legend, the man, the myth, Stu Stone!
Yes!
Stu, how you doing?
That's one of the better introductions that you have provided for me on this program.
I was channeling my inner Marty, the ring announcer.
The ring announcer.
Yes.
Thank you very much, man. As you know, I am a star of stage and screen.
And television.
And television. And here I am with the Prince of Podcasts, the Canadian Bulldog.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. Last time we were here, we talked about Saturday night's main event. What's some of the feedback you got there?
I got a lot of good feedback. A lot of people agreed with me on Uncle Elmer being a household name in the early run. And a lot of people were very, very shocked to hear my take on Sika and Hulk's promo and how accurate it was.
Well, I remember we actually listened to the promo after we recorded this, and he was talking about Sika's like chicken neck.
Eating. Yeah, what you gonna do, Sika?
Yes. So,
he never said what you gonna do, Sika, unfortunately, but he did mention Sika eating chickens.
Exactly. The genuine, like the sentiment of it was there.
The sentiment was there, yes.
So we're gonna shift gears a little bit this week.
Well, what is this podcast?
The Wrestling Merchandise and Memories.
Oh, what's it brought to you by?
CanadianBulldogsWorld.com.
Oh, your scrapbook for
Wrestling Merchandise and Memories. Yeah. I feel like we went through that.
Shout out to Cable Guy Jeff, who we forgot to give a shout out to in the last episode.
Oh my goodness. Can we tack that on last month?
I hope so.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Good to get it out of the way and make sure
the pod father himself.
Yes, he's getting his props for sure. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit this week, and we're gonna I call this From the Pages of WWF Magazine.
Oh,
yes. And you remember WWF Magazine back in the day.
Sure.
I'm sure you had a subscription like most of us did.
I did.
So what we're going to do is we're going to, almost like roulette style, you're going to select a magazine, then I'll select a magazine. We're going to go through it. We're going to compare notes. We're going to see what we see, any memories that this may instill in you. And there we go. So I've got probably a dozen or so. We're not going to go through all dozen. Don't worry.
But one each?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Is this something that we're going to do regularly throughout 2020? We're going to reach into this bag every now and then?
Yeah, we could do that. But, okay, yeah, we may do more than two. But
okay.
We'll see. We'll see where the time takes us.
Okay.
So, Stu, I want you to do the honors.
Sure.
This Miracle Mart bag that I have in front of us.
A big bag of WWF magazines. I'm reaching in and pulling out a random copy.
Some very good bathroom reading material here, I got to say.
Oh, look at this. I've got one of the very prestigious covers here. I've got Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the cover, September 1989. Not only is he Hacksaw, he's King Duggan on the cover of this magazine. Hacksaw with the king's crown on him, with the goofy eyes and his tongue out, and a 2x4 and Harley Race's crown on him. At this point, Harley Race had already lost his crown 2 years prior in 1987 at WrestleMania 3. So I believe
I don't think he lost his crown at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, Junkyard Dog beat him, and he had the crown.
No, Harley Race actually won that match.
Yeah, but then Junkyard Dog tarnished the crown.
Oh, maybe, but Hacksaw eventually wrestled the crown away from.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
So he didn't beat Haku. Haku beat Duggan. And then Macho Man beat Duggan. Duggan beat Haku. Haku beat Race.
Actually, sorry,
Haku beat Race.
No, what happened was Harley Race was injured. We talked about this in our last podcast.
And then they had a Royal Rumble match.
Yes, Haku just inherited the crown. Then they had the blow off. Then Haku lost it to Duggan. Duggan lost it to Macho Man Savage. Dusty Rhodes?
I don't think anybody was the king after Savage.
King Booker?
Yes.
But that's years later.
Jerry Lawler ended up coming to the company. And then they had a King of the Ring tournament, Bret Hart, and the rest is history. King Duggan on the cover.
Yes. And let's when was this published?
September 1989. King Duggan, Wrestling's Royalty. Ho, spelt on the cover. HOOOOO apostrophe. SummerSlam, feel the heat with our exclusive preview. How would they have an exclusive preview of SummerSlam in September? I guess they missed the boat.
Well, I think it's just when it was cover dated. So I don't think this actually came out in September of 89.
The Rockers, illegal double teamers. Sean and Marty speak out against illegal double teamers.
Uh-oh. Controversy.
Savage interviewed. The Madness and his manager discuss Hulkamania. and the rude awakening rudely interrupted by a wild warrior. WWF Magazine, #1 magazine, the world's best-selling wrestling magazine. In this issue, meet the Widowmaker, Superfly Goes Home, and Hillbilly with a Horseshoe. I vaguely remember this magazine, action-packed.
This is probably taken from your house. I'm not going to lie.
I'm opening it up, and I see it's amazing. Opening it up is making me feel great. Right off the bat, there's an advertisement for Rascals Bite-Sized Candies, which I vaguely remember, but not really.
An official sponsor of our podcast, Rascals, Tropical Rascals.
And then you've got the contents, and the cover, the photo was Steve Taylor who took that photo.
I thought that was Steve's work.
WWF Magazine Information Center, WWF Fan Club, which we've talked about in the past. In the 1989-1990 fan club, if you were to join it, which I did, you receive, those baby on board stickers that you can stick on your car?
Sure.
There's one that says WWF fan on board. You get an 8x10 with a stamped autograph of the Rockers, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Great.
You get a WWF keychain. You get a WWF certificate of some kind.
Wow.
It doesn't look like there's a tape in this one. Usually you would
that's
get
that's later on in the fandom.
Yeah. 3 new spectacular WWF video cassettes advertised on the inside of the magazine here, including Demolition, Fan Favorites, and Best of the WWF Volume 20.
Yeah, and we have that in our Coliseum video episode, which is in the archives.
Around the Ring. We're talking about Ed Ricciuti is writing about SummerSlam and Around the Ring. There's WWF Superstars, the arcade game, perhaps arguably the greatest stand-up arcade game in the history of wrestling.
I prefer WrestleFest myself.
Really?
Yeah, the follow-up. Because
Really?
then you had Legion of Doom and all that. This was
That's
fine.
not this one?
No, this was the prequel to that.
Oh, WrestleFest is the one that I like.
Yeah. This wasn't bad. Like, this is something you could take home to meet your parents.
No.
for sure.
Actually, this is the one that I like. Legion of Doom were in this one. You've played the Legion of Doom when you went to the championship match.
Nope. See, it shows you. The champions are Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase there.
Really?
Yeah. WrestleFest is the better one, but they're both fine. Like, as far as video games go.
Huh, maybe you're right. Oh, well, WrestleFest is the one that has a Royal Rumble? Like 4-player action?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's the better one.
Yeah. Shout out to our own Adam Zimmerman, the Grappling Gamer, who has reviewed both of those titles.
Fan forum, there's some people who are writing in letters talking about Bret Hart. Wrestling Spotlight. There's been more advertisements than articles in this magazine. Wrestling Spotlight presents the Ultimate Warrior, 2 giant posters on sale at your newsstand now. I remember buying that, loaded with posters of a completely jacked 1989 Ultimate Warrior, injecting everything in and around him, looking absolutely ripped.
The photos aren't him injecting himself, though,
no.
Just to be clear.
Body language, Jesse Ventura with an article. And he's talking about whether Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart should split up because he's getting tired of following the ridiculous roller coaster ride. I don't know if Jesse actually wrote these articles, but
it's in his voice for sure.
42% off if you subscribe to the magazine. I did that. I took advantage of those savings. Yeah. Newsbreakers, Heenan storms off of WWF Wrestling Challenge. Why did he leave the show? I see Tony Schiavone now filling in as a... Is that what happened? Schiavone got hired and they didn't need Heenan in the booth?
I do not remember this angle.
Since I remember the arrival of commentary Tony Schiavone on Wrestling Challenge, Bobby the Brain Heenan hasn't been himself. His viewpoints on certain matches were cut short because Schiavone and the program's host Gorilla Monsoon engaged in descriptive play-by-play. Heenan, although not purposely, was receiving less and less microphone time than the other two, and this infuriated the Brain.
I remember him getting thrown off of Raw, but that was years later.
Personality profile of Hillbilly Jim, who's, I guess he was wrestling Boris Zukov and Andre the Giant. I don't have any memory of...
I love the design of this. It's like a confidential folder. It even says the word confidential on it, as though this is like
this magazine is
top
incredible,
secret
guys.
information. Yes.
I'm telling you right now, if you have a chance to pick up an old copy of WWF Magazine and you are of a certain age, which I clearly am, it's just great flipping through. Next, we've got a 2-page spread, an advertisement for WWF Superstars of Wrestling ice cream bars. Of course, we all know the ice cream bars are back now, minus the stick. They're ice cream sandwiches now.
Yeah, have you seen the new ones? They don't look the same thing.
Well, no, but,
It's a ice cream sandwich with like a stamp of like Roman Reigns.
Well, that's what this is right now. This is an ice cream bar with a stamp of Hulk Hogan.
But it also had like the chocolate and the cookie crunch
in
the card, and it just seemed a lot better. Like a lot more love had gone into it.
I'm trying to just look here. If you got like a Bobby the Brain, there's a Ted DiBiase, a Hercules. I guess Hercules would have been the shit bar if you opened it up and Hercules came out. Like, why the fuck would you want that? We have an interview with Macho Man and Sensational Sherry, asking about the SummerSlam main event where Macho Man and Zeus will be meeting the awesome combination of Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Savage talking about his strategy.
Now here's a question I've always wanted to ask you, Stu. Do you actually think that Randy Savage and Queen Sherry were giving this interview, or just somebody who just wrote this all
Who
out?
knows? I mean, I would probably guess to say that no one really did anything.
Yeah.
Battle of the Titans was a Keith Elliott Greenberg, who is a regular contributor to projects I've worked on, the Iron Sheik documentary and various others.
I've met the man. Very nice man.
Tito Santana versus Mr. Perfect, getting the Keith Elliott Greenberg treatment. And you know Keith Elliott Greenberg for sure wrote these articles. And it's like a 6-page essay on one fucking match that it looks like Rick Martel screwed Tito Santana out of winning the Intercontinental Championship. If I'm not mistaken, this might have been when Mr. Perfect won the championship.
No. That was when Bobby Heenan became his manager all of a sudden, but this is probably a rematch.
SummerSlam preview, Hogan and Beefcake against Zeus and Macho Man. Then you turn the page, you get the rest of the card. Rick Rude against Ultimate Warrior. If I'm not mistaken, that's a steel cage match.
Nope. No, that was a year later.
That was a year later,
yep.
Huh? Demolition and King. So they wrestled at a WrestleMania and 2 SummerSlams?
Yep.
Huh. Demolition and King Duggan against Andre the Giant in the Twin Towers. I do not remember that match.
I do. And Duggan had face paint on, like to look like Demolition.
Dusty Rhodes against the Honky Tonk Man. Jimmy Snuka against Ted DiBiase with Virgil, who's looking jacked. Hart Foundation not taking on their favorites, the Bolsheviks, the Bees, the Bulldogs.
Well,
no,
it's a B word, the Brainbusters.
Oh, they are taking on the Brainbusters. Anvil and Bret Hart. Red Rooster against Mr. Perfect. At one point, that's a really good wrestling match. At this stage in their careers, Rooster probably wasn't doing much. But at one point, Red Rooster was pitted to be the next big thing in wrestling when he was in Terry Taylor and he was a real ring technician. Perfect and Rooster is probably a good match in, the Hart Foundation and the Brainbusters. Another good match.
That was very good. I remember that one, yeah.
We've got some WWF trivia on page 32. Some Sensational Sherry trivia. You've got some Ted DiBiase trivia. Some odds and ends trivia. Would you like to try to answer some odds and ends trivia?
Sure. Throw
odds
your
and ends. True or false? WWF fan club members receive all of the following items and more. This seems like an advertisement, this question. Hulk rules, shoelaces, a Macho Madness pennant, a WWF keychain, and a sign reading WWF fan on board.
So, if there's no way the answer is no, it's got to be true,
yes,
right? Like, or else they wouldn't.
Of course,
yeah, you'd want more.
It is true.
Yes.
Question 2: which WWF manager was named to football commentator John Madden's All Madden team?
Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, that's easy, and that's correct. Question 3: which WWF commentator is mentioned in Stephen King's latest novel,
Gorilla Monsoon?
Yes,
I remember that one. Yeah.
Also true. Let's do numbers.
All right.
How big are WWF champion Hulk Hogan's biceps? 24 inches.
24 inches.
What day in April did WrestleMania 5 take place?
I want to say 2nd.
Yes.
Wow.
How old was Rick Martel when he began his wrestling career?
16?
17.
Oh.
And here's some WrestleMania trivia for you. Question 1: who lost his pants at WrestleMania 5?
Lost his pants.
That would be Morton Downey Jr.?
Brother Love.
Oh, Brother Love. Yeah, Brother Love. Mr. Fuji tossed salt in the face of Smash during WrestleMania 5, but he ducked and the salt flew into whose face?
The Warlord.
True.
Wow.
What was the name of the song performed by Run DMC at WrestleMania 5?
Like WrestleMania rap?
It sure was. Should I ask you the other 2 categories since you just were doing so well?
Sure.
Sensational Sherry is the category. Question 1. We should just do the trivia from the magazines. Sherry recently told WWF Magazine she turns ordinary men into what?
Jellyfish?
Jelly is correct.
Oh my God.
Question 2. She says it's nothing for her to change her clothes. How many times a day?
6.
3 or 4.
Okay.
Sherry says her designer is too expensive for what princess?
Diana?
Correct.
Oh my God.
$1 million belt is the category. Question 1. Ted DiBiase's $1 million belt is studded with what precious stone?
Diamonds.
Correct. Question 2. Even WWF President Jack Tunney admires the belt, but he told WWF Magazine it is what?
Unofficial.
Meaningless.
Okay. Same thing.
Question 3. DiBiase replied by saying the belt is worth more than Tunney could make in how many lifetimes?
9.
10. That concludes your trivia. Up next, we've got the WWF merchandise catalog, the fall winter 1989-1990. This is going to be awesome.
And just as an aside, if you visit CanadianBulldogsWorld.com, and why wouldn't you? We do this all the time. We dissect these merchandise catalogs because they're just a treasure
Amazing.
trove
The best.
of information.
I wish we could order this stuff right now. Hulk Hogan has a lot of merchandise. There's a WWF gym bag, which I believe I bought.
And if you look at who's wearing the hat there, the Hulk Rules hat, I believe that's a young
Stephanie
Stephanie
McMahon,
McMahon. Yes.
Is that Shane?
No.
Yeah, Stephanie McMahon modeling the Hulk Hogan hat in the catalog. That's pretty funny. That's really funny.
I believe it's Pete Gass who's modeling the WWF belt.
Really?
No.
That could be Shane. Wearing an Ultimate Warrior, Jack. Then we got Hogan Warrior, and then the next page, sold out. Well, Miss Elizabeth Button is sold out, but Hogan Warrior is still available. WWF WrestleMania, the VCR game, which I owned. WWF Superstar playing cards, which I owned. WWF Superstar autograph picture set, which I did not own. WWF official calendar, which I owned. WWF Superstar greeting cards, which I did not own.
They really knew their audience here.
WWF Hulkamania teddy bear shirt, did not own. Hulkamania teddy bear did not own. I had a Warrior teddy bear. Did Rybowski? He had a Hogan teddy.
It sounds like something you'd have.
Little Hulkster bib? No.
Oh, the little baby modeling the Hulkster bib, I believe.
Savio Vega. We've got the T-shirts now. This is possibly the best thing you can have in a catalog. I really hope that you guys can somehow listen vicariously through my excitement, but this is where the T-shirts are modeled. You have rows of wrestlers wearing their various tees. I'll describe them to the best of my ability. A new Hulk Hogan T-shirt. By the way, these T-shirts are only $12.95 each.
Wow.
Sign me up for all of them. Hulk Hogan with a red shirt that I do not remember at all. Brutus Beefcake with a ringer shirt, his original Struttin' and Cuttin'. I remember that. The shitty Jake the Snake T-shirt that was not good, although maybe it's good now. Hercules with an incredible shirt.
Okay, sorry, I have to call you out on this. Who the fuck would ever order a Hercules gray T-shirt with his cartoon?
I think the cartoon shirts were my favorite of the shirts that WWF had.
But Hercules?
Sure.
Why?
I don't know. Just
what statement would you be making when we're wearing a Hercules
I'm a Hercules.
T-shirt?
He was a babyface at the time.
I mean, if you had a chain around you, okay,
Herc.
maybe.
Demolition shirt was great, but I did not own it. I think you may have.
I had that poster though, for sure.
Mr. Perfect shirt, really good.
That's a good
Jim
one.
the Anvil Neidhart, I believe I had the tank top version.
Really?
Maybe not. Bushwhackers shirt, classic. Can't go wrong. Macho Man, everybody's got that
That's
one.
the iconic purple sunglasses one.
Bret the Hitman Hart, the only one selling a tank top.
That one I have, still to this day.
Ultimate Warrior t-shirt, vaguely remember. This Rockers shirt was incredible. There was also a poster with that same design. That was the iconic Rockers look. That shirt, I would buy that now.
Maybe you should.
We've got some door hangings. The Demolition poster, fantastic. All these posters, including Hulk Rules, Hercules, Ultimate Warrior, Miss Elizabeth, Hogan, which this was on your brother's wall for sure.
Mm-hmm. As was this.
Bret Hart. I had this on my wall, this Rockers poster. Bushwhackers, Macho Man. I had this on my wall.
The Rockers.
Yeah, the Rockers. How about that?
And another freaking Hercules poster.
Yeah.
What the hell,
They were
guys?
giving them the big push. Corduroy baseball cap, Bret Hart sunglasses, only $5.95. Brutus the Barber Beefcake towel, $9.95. And that does it for the merchandise for the fall-winter collection. We turn the page and we get to a ravishing Rick Rude article, Warrior and Rude.
Good feud.
Like a 20-page article. Lots of pictures. The Rockers deny illegal double teaming. So Jesse Ventura used to accuse the Rockers of being in the ring for more than the 5-second count. And
It's
he used to
illegal,
call-
McMahon.
Yeah, he used to call that out all the time. And here's an article where the Rockers are saying, we don't cheat. And it's got all sorts of photos.
Good on them for defending themselves.
All these articles, by the way, are like 5-6 pages each with lots of pictures, just very well laid out. The publisher of this magazine knew what they were doing. Of course, I need to point out that Lou Gianfrido,
Look at that photo.
with another article in here,
Dusty Rhodes in his underwear, shirtless on a farm.
Dusty Rhodes, Mr. Americana. And there's a whole article about Dusty Rhodes. And looks like they're setting up for a Honky Tonk Man feud there.
Which they did, yeah.
King Duggan walking tall, carrying a big stick. And there's a photo of a very angry Haku who looks like he would like to get his crown back somehow. Superfly goes to Fiji. I remember this was the vignettes that they would show to reintroduce him. Looking jacked as a motherfucker here. Superfly, Snuka, of course.
And can I point out that so this feature is called Private Eye, so it's like secret photos, but like he's clearly posing for every last one of these.
Yeah.
ones.
But it's many pictures of Snuka as they were getting ready to reintroduce him to the audience. And he's got some photographs. Lowdown. Bad News Brown, Hulk Hogan on Arsenio. That was the infamous Hulk Hogan where he lied and said that he's never taken steroids and pretty much fucked everybody. So I'm wondering why they would even mention this in the magazine.
What was the lowdown on that interview?
WWF champion Hulk Hogan was a guest on the Arsenio Hall show. The Hulkster gave Hall and the viewing world insight to the blockbuster movie No Holds Barred, which stars Hogan. Hulk left no doubt that if Zeus wanted him in the ring, then he would be ready anytime.
Do you remember watching that Arsenio Hall
I
when
do.
it was live? Yeah, that was a piece of business.
And Hogan lied about steroids. And then that's when it all sort of started to go bad for them,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken. Wrestler's Rebuttal. We have an article written by Greg the Hammer Valentine
Sure.
where he's talking about Ronnie Garvin, Dino Bravo, Coco Beware, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and King Duggan.
No, he's talking about Ronnie Garvin, and then after that, they always have the other wrestlers.
Oh, the other wrestlers are rebutting.
Yeah, his rebuttal.
Ronnie Garvin said, even though he beat me, Greg the Hammer Valentine is still afraid of me. Dino Bravo, all these French Canadians. Coco Beware. Oh, yeah. We need referees like Ronnie. Bobby the Brain thinks that Ronnie Garvin is a tailor-made referee. King Duggan says, ho, when you're up against some of the sleaze that's wrestling in the WWF, you need a referee. Rugged Ronnie Garvin as a referee. That's the angle there.
He's a little biased, though, to be fair.
WWF crossword. Across, 6-letter word. The Hulkster plays Rip in the film. No holds. Should we
Bird?
fill this out, or you want to leave this?
Let's leave that pristine.
But the magazine's not pristine anyway.
No, but it's.
So why don't you just fill it in?
I'm good.
You gotta let it breathe, baby. 4 across, 6 letters. The WWF's last musical release, Pile.
Driver.
Rick Martel's former partner, 7 letters. Santana. 10 flexes. 5-letter word. Flexes. P-O-S-E-S. Poses. That's got to be it. Saves hairless like Bad News Brown. Bald. 4-letter word.
You got this.
One of Jimmy Hart's stable. 5-letter word. Davis.
Bravo.
P-R-A-V-O. Yeah. Could be. Andre the Giant starred in the film The Princess
Bride.
Yes.
Larry Humber didn't know who he's fucking with when he put out these questions.
A favorite finishing move, the blank crab.
Boston.
Brother Love's fingers are adorned with them.
Rings.
His WWF Magazine column is titled Body Language.
Jesse Ventura.
Rockin' Robin sang Blank the Beautiful to kick off WrestleMania 5.
America.
I didn't remember that.
I did remember that, yeah.
Brutus the Blank Beefcake.
The fucking barber.
In commercials for Miller Lite, Jesse's shirt reads Tastes.
Great.
I don't know.
Well, that's the ad. Tastes great, less filling.
Caught in the act, a photo of Dusty Rhodes on the back of a garbage truck, and you've got an ad, yet another ad for SummerSlam, despite the fact that the magazine is cover dated past the date that SummerSlam would have happened. And on the back, WrestleMania, the Nintendo game from Acclaim, which is a horrible, horrible game. But I remember buying it, that's for sure.
We loved it at the time.
Yeah. And there you go.
So-
September 1989, cover to cover. Hacksaw on the cover.
So, Stu, if you could rank this particular issue out of 10, what would you give it?
I would give it a solid rating. I would say that I enjoyed getting this magazine no matter what. This was the best wrestling magazine for sure. And I think that I enjoyed the magazine more so, and I believe the importance of the magazine more so in the coming years when Vince Russo took over and was doing like the Informer and the Crystal Ball articles where they sort of would give away actual spoilers, and it kind of made the magazine must read. And then of course Raw magazine, which was
A bit raunchier.
That was a great magazine, which I had. It seemed like that was the best incarnation of WWF magazine in my opinion, was the Raw magazine. But of course, as a kid growing up, these were the best magazines. All wrestling magazines. I bought pretty much any wrestling magazine I could get my hands on. But WWF magazine was a subscription, came to the mailbox, no questions asked.
It's a very slick publication. So sorry, out of 10, what did you give it?
I'd give it an 8.
An 8?
Solid 7.5.
Which is it?
7.5.
Because we're going to compare it against the next one.
I think we're only going to have time to do the 2 magazines at this rate.
That's perfectly fine. So this is, let's see here.
Is
This
that
actually
my subscription? Is that my address?
No, it's not. It came
Is
to
it
the House of
yours?
Canadian Bulldog.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Back
That's your actual subscription.
My shoot subscription. So just so the subscription came in these little wrappers where you could also get trading cards. I'm sure I've lifted the trading cards from them since then for my trading card collection.
Wow, that's a sick cover.
It really is. So we're looking at December 1995. So we've skipped ahead many years here, and this is it's a portrait photo of Diesel staring down Bret Hart, both of them holding onto the WWF Championship, with a big bold headline: "This time there will be a winner."
What are they referring to?
I feel like maybe at Royal Rumble earlier in the year they had like a schmoz ending.
But this is in December.
This was Survivor Series. This is where Hart went over and he won the title, I think. Spoiler alert. And anyway, so let's go.
Wait, didn't Bob Backlund beat Bret Hart at the Survivor Series?
Yeah, then a year later, Bret Hart beat Diesel. In a
Is that
steel
true?
cage. Yeah, it is. So we've got the best.
It's not always about you, man. You know that quote where Diesel or Nash does an interview where he's like talking about how he was wrestling Bret Hart in a steel cage match, and Undertaker comes out of the ring, under the ring, and pulls Diesel down into the ring, right?
Okay.
And Bret wouldn't let Diesel beat. Diesel wanted to hit Bret with the jackknife powerbomb, and then Taker will come up just as it looks like Bret's going to get to lose,
right?
And Bret wouldn't do that. And Diesel got upset, saying, "It's not always about you, man." So there you go. That's my impression.
Some good context. I don't think that'll be in this magazine.
No,
but we'll see. So the first, inside cover, you get the best WWF holiday deal ever, and you've got some upcoming Coliseum videos, including the Lumberjacks, which is probably very similar to the UWF VHS cassette of the same name.
Clearly, some copyright infringement on Herb Abrams' UWF.
Yeah, this was actually.
You can already see the inside of the magazine is already like that mid-'90s goofy WWF era where like it's just like even the word contents is in like 90s kids font.
This is very kid friendly. So we've got Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna and Henry Godwin on the inside here. Okay, so Stu, I'm gonna quiz you right off the bat here. Can you guess the secret superstar? I'm gonna give you some hints. So it's a photo of, I guess, 2 wrestlers?
Is it a tag team?
I don't know. Is
that the Beverly Brothers?
Well, hold on, we'll get to there. So here are the hints. These 2 secret superstars are so fanatical about what they eat, they wouldn't be caught.
The Body Donnas.
Yes,
that's the Body Donnas.
It is Skip and Sunny. Well, I can see that's what's her name? Tammy.
Okay.
Sitch. That does not look like Chris Candido, but they were like snot-nosed punks.
And then they have pictures of like little kids in the magazine. So this is clearly like a kid's era. And we were still reading and getting subscriptions at this point.
Yeah. So
who's the publisher at this point, or the editor?
Vince Russo is the editor.
So Vince he was writing everything cover to cover here.
I think so. I think you'll see some of his influence
Maybe the
around
Informer
this
is going to
time.
be in this magazine.
I think it might be. So, but you start off with Federation Fan Addicts, which are pen pals, basically. Like
he pretty much turned around the magazine, Vince Russo, and that's what sort of got him noticed.
Absolutely, changed it radically. So if you wanted to become pen pals with Pritchard Fernandez or Helen Cripps, you could. Letters to the editor. There's some really bad fan art here of George the Animal Steel and the Undertaker and Diesel.
Diesel.
And then that's Entertain Matt, where Mr. Backlund reviews a book called The Tax Racket. Man Mountain Rock, if you remember him.
I do.
Reviews rock classic rock and roll by Kiss.
Mm.
And then Gold Dust gives a classic movie review of Star Wars.
Oh.
It's like none of these are timely at all. Rookies to Legends. So this is the updated version of the personality profile. You've got your buddy, Barry Horowitz.
Oh, Barry Horowitz, my bud.
Yes. Looking like just a nerdy
Jewish guy.
Yeah.
That was his gimmick.
Yeah. And he's got like the pocket protector and the shirt done up to the top collar. And anyways, anything you'd ever want to learn about Mr. Horowitz, it can be found. Is he coming to the Reno Rumble?
He is.
Amazing. Fantastic. We get into Tales from the Turnbuckle. And Howard Finkel said the following to a New York City cab driver. Do you know Silvio? Guess he had to be there. And then you've got Shawn Michaels doing an America Online chat. So that takes you back. You've got a feature called Don't Mess with Ahmed Johnson, where he's wearing the Harlem Heat trunks for some reason.
I see that, yeah. Look at that.
So I guess this is early
Very
days
well endowed, based on that photo, by the way. Big hammer.
All right, I won't go there. I don't know who that is. That Scott Hall is playing a baseball game.
That's Scott Hall?
Looks
Usually
like,
Sid Vicious was the softball player of the crew.
this looked like a charity game.
Let me see that.
Go for it.
Charity baseball. Yeah, that sure is. Razor Ramon.
Reminds me of the Jake the Snake story. Were you there for the Jake the Snake baseball story?
No.
So Jake the Snake, when he did his like comedy tour, was talking about how in Montreal he had a charity game, him and Duggan and a few others, and he made this catch where he actually almost like flipped on his head and still ended up catching the ball. If you look on YouTube for that clip, it still exists to this day, and it's unbelievable. It's worth seeing.
Jake makes a crazy catch?
Yes, in French. Then you've got Fatu out on the town. You've got some on sale dates for WWF around the world. Here we go. An advice column, Advice to the Lovelorn from Shawn Michaels and Alundra Blaze.
Yikes.
So Shawn Michaels gives the heel perspective, and Alundra.
All written by Vince Russo.
I'm sure. Shawn Michaels didn't even know this was happening at the time. But him and Alundra seem very pally. This photo. In the Line of Fire replaces the WWF interview in the Russo era. And this is Target British Bulldog.
Managed by Jim Cornette at the time.
No relation. And basically this is during the feud with Shawn Michaels, I believe. I could be wrong.
Which Bulldog would lose in...
No, he's in a feud with Diesel here. Sorry. My apologies.
Oh, he actually had some title shots at one point against Shawn Michaels. When Michaels was the champion, I believe he headlined a pay-per-view.
Yes, so this was a little bit... And the Bulldog actually talks about his son Harry here in this interview, who would go on to briefly be known as the Canadian Bulldog.
Oh, yeah.
Asshole. Anyways, we won't get into that. A feature on the one and only Jean-Pierre Lafitte, who
is now known as
PCO.
PCO.
Yeah, so that's this is what year is this? 95,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah, he's still around.
Ring of Honor World Champion in 2020.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's looks at a harbor front or something like that, raising the pirate flag here. And just skip ahead. There's a long feature, and then didn't
he steal Bret Hart's jacket?
He did, but here, he's on like the Bruise Cruise or something like that. And
the Wrestle Vessel?
The Wrestle Vessel, maybe. And you see here how Razor Ramon, Sean Waltman, and Bam Bam Bigelow stole his pirate flag.
Oh.
So I guess they got their revenge.
Oh, that's not good. He wore an eye patch. I think that was a shoot eye patch. Like he really had like a bad eye or something.
He has a glass eye.
Yeah.
Still today.
Video game review.
Some video game reviews. X-Band. I don't even know what the hell. The X-Band modem. The twist to video game playing.
No clue.
Yeah, this is just.
They must have got paid to do that.
Oh, for sure, it's an ad. Yeah. Now we're going to Living Raw. An overview of cable's most explosive program.
Written by
Keith Elliott Greenberg, our good friend.
You know, he really wrote that.
I'm sure. So we have pictures of Bret Hart.
Shocking things going on.
Yeah.
Vince Russo is probably already maybe giving suggestions at this point.
I would think so. I think his fingerprints are all over this magazine so far.
No, I'm saying like the actual TV, like Bob Backlund turning, is that like a Vince Russo angle, you think?
I don't think. I could be wrong.
Or
I
is
don't
that a
think
Jim
so.
Cornette angle, or
Maybe it's Cornette.
was it Cornette and Patterson and Vince were the bookers, and then
And Pritchard, too, I think.
and Pritchard?
Yeah. Anyway, so you got some hilarious moments here from Monday Night Raw in its early days. Bob
Who did I
Backlund, Shawn
say?
Michaels.
Cornette. Yeah, okay.
Cornette, maybe. This is a
That's
poster.
a great picture.
I may hang this up in Bulldog's basement today. So it's all the wrestlers, like the good guys and the bad guys, all together. They look like they're palling around. So you've got 1, 2, 3 Kid, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, Owen Hart, Mr. Fuji, Henry Godwin, Fatu in his like make a difference phase, Diesel looks like he's under the influence of something, Razor Ramon, Yokozuna, Waylon Mercy, Shane Douglas, Triple H, and Kama, aka the Godfather, all just hanging out.
And you know, one of those guys is going to be at the Arena Rumble.
Owen Hart,
Kama.
Yes. This will have aired long after the Arena Rumble, just by the way. And this is behind the scenes photo shoot of the Raw.
I guess it's WrestleMania season by the time this airs, or
it may be SummerSlam, but who knows?
Oh.
We've got an ad here for America Online. Did you ever subscribe to
I did.
America? Yeah, the WWF.
The only
page?
reason why I got America Online was to get on the WWF website.
As many of us did. We're now into in your house results.
Yeah.
And just briefly go through here. The card includes,
Waylon Mercy against Savio Vega?
Yeah.
Huh.
Don't remember that. This is from September 95. Henry Godwin, Hank versus Sid. Sounds like an awful match.
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow versus the British Bulldog. I don't remember any of this.
That's probably not a good match.
Razor Ramon against Dean Douglas.
That's probably not a good match.
Is this where Dean had the title and he lost it? I bet you it is.
Could be.
Yeah. Bret the Hitman Hart versus
PCO.
Jean-Pierre Lafitte.
Probably a decent match.
Yeah.
Funny that, I guess, he stole Bret Hart's jacket. That's right.
Yeah, that was the starting. And then the main event, Diesel and Shawn Michaels versus Yokozuna and British Bulldog. It was supposed to be Owen Hart and the British Bulldog.
Dudes with attitudes.
Yeah. And all 3 titles were on the line at this one, if I remember correctly. And Michaels and Nash went over.
Oh, and they won the tag team
Surprising.
belts?
Yeah.
Okay.
This ad is paid for by
Whoa.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley. To get the straight dirt without getting your hands dirty, read the Bite Uncensored! 3 exclamation marks. Not only is the great Vic Venom.
Vic Venom was that was Vince Russo's like pen name.
It was. Not only is the great Vic Venom a genius, but he's also a scholar and a gentleman. To subscribe to the Bite for 12 uncensored issues, send a check or money order to $11.95 with your name and
What the
address
hell?
too.
Was that a real thing? Like
Yeah.
a dirt sheet? Like a Vic Venom dirt sheet? Can anybody confirm whether this is a real thing?
I'd like to know. I have no idea. There's also an ad for the WWF Superstar line. Do we want to call this Superstar line?
Sure.
Are you going to call it for real?
I can.
All right, let's see if it's still open.
All right. What's the number?
1-900
Yep.
737
Yep.
4 WWF.
I highly doubt that it's
Yeah. Just make sure kids get your parents' permission first. Let's see what happens here.
see.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
Damn it, Russo.
There you go.
Got a full color photo of Bret the Hitman Hart from In Your House.
Yes.
And then another one of the 2 dudes with attitude.
Yes.
And
Kevin Nash wearing a dudes with attitudes, like actual trunks that say dudes with attitudes on the tummy.
Yep. And then you've got the Survivor Series poster for that.
Brought to you by Karate Fighters.
Yes. And then you got a preview of the Survivor Series as promised. So the main event was Diesel defending the WWF title against Bret Hart.
Who wins that one?
Bret Hart.
Oh, good.
And just talking about their feud. You mentioned Wrestling Spotlight earlier. This month's is Shawn Michaels. Then we got the Survivor Series matches. Do we want to go through these?
Sure.
All
I'd
right.
like to see if I can even guess who won.
All right. I don't even remember, to be honest. Okay. So on one team, this is the wild card match. You've got Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, British Bulldog, and Sid against Dean Douglas, Razor Ramon, Yokozuna and Owen Hart. I feel like Shawn Michaels and Ahmed won that one, but
I'll
I'm
go
not
with
sure.
that.
You've got the dark side, which is The Undertaker, Make a Difference Fatu, Savio Vega, and Henry Godwin
Okay.
against King Mabel,
Oh,
Jerry the King Lawler,
yes.
Triple H, and Isaac Yankem.
Wow.
Pretty good team. Undertaker won that one. I think his whole team may have actually won, to be honest.
Even Godwin?
Yep. Then you've got the Underdogs.
Why is Hakushi an underdog?
Because he was teaming with Barry Horowitz.
But
at the
why?
time.
Like, he was a great wrestler. Why'd they, like, fuck him up so much?
That's a good question. You'd have to ask
Why was Hakushi buried to the undercard? He was very talented.
Well, he's an underdog here.
Didn't Brett have, like, great matches with him?
He did. So what's really funny about this, so it's Hakushi, Barry Horowitz, Marty Jannetty, and then Avatar, which is Al Snow, but they don't actually show his picture. It's just like a shadow. And they're against the Body Donnas. I'm sure this team wasn't the final. It was Chris Candido, Jean-Pierre Lafitte.
Louis Spicoli?
Louis Spicoli, aka Rad Radford, and Tom Pritchard.
Yeesh.
Yeah. On the undercard, you've got Bam Bam Bigelow against Goldust in his debut. And Alundra Blaze's
Wow,
team.
Bam Bam did the honors for Dusty, Gold Dusty?
He did, yeah. I remember that. Alundra Blaze's team against Bertha Faye's team, and I don't think they even named who's on the team yet.
And that's it.
All right. A commentary by Vince Russo, how Dean Douglas is moving to the head of the class.
That never happened.
No, he's probably gone from the WWF by this point.
Yeah.
Why Dean Douglas will pass the Federation test with brilliant colors.
He won't.
No.
That was wrong. Who was the author of that?
Vince Russo.
So he wrote under his real name too?
Yeah, and Vic Venom.
Here we go, The Informer.
You mentioned it. So let's see if some of these rumors actually happen and will we remember.
The Informer was the only reason to buy the magazine.
He knew everything. The Informer always had the dirt. Let's see here. These are just reviews of matches, though. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, may have put the final link to a deal that will deliver to him his first legitimate $1 million tag team here in the World Wrestling Federation.
That never happened.
I can't elaborate on the details at this moment.
Well, it never happened.
Yeah. It's not official. As a matter of fact, it may not be for a while, but if you ask me, the Informer, a former Federation superstar will be making his long-awaited return. Hint, let's just say when this former great champion is set to regain what he feels is rightfully his. That could
Ultimate
literally be
Warrior?
anybody.
Warrior?
Yeah, but Henry Godwin does not want his 2 front teeth for Christmas.
Oh, I believe that.
Oh, look for World Wrestling Federation and television superstar King Kong Bundy to soon be appearing on Fox's Married with Children.
That didn't happen already by 95?
I think he did a couple of appearances, actually. All right.
That was a pretty shitty Informer.
He didn't have a lot of dirt here this month, Russo. Private Eye has the 1-2-3 kid and his family at Disney World, it looks like, or Disneyland. Nope, it's his 2 proud cousins,
Oh.
Jeffrey, 13, and Denise, 11.
Oh, that was nice.
So the kid didn't even have kids yet.
No,
at
of
this
course
point.
not. He was
No.
probably too young.
He's probably like 40 at that point, but whatever. All right, we're getting
Bertha Faye, she was in WCW during the Monday Night Wars, wasn't she?
She was. So this next feature is called Pin 'em Down,
Oh.
where you ask questions of your favorite superstars. So Bertha Faye had something. Dean Douglas had something. One had a question to Jerry Lawler. Dear Burger King, how did Bret Hart's foot taste? Now, Rocky Haggard of East Boston, Massachusetts, he's probably paying for that now because that wasn't a very nice thing to
No.
say. And
A lot
Lawler,
of like writing letters, like lazy articles here. Like the next article is also Dear Brett.
that's Brett.
Then
yeah.
there was also like a Dear Alundra Blaze and Shawn Michaels like 10 pages earlier. Like every fucking. Then there was like submit your fan art. Then there was ask the questions for the editor. There was 5 different articles in this magazine where Russo's not having to write anything because the fans, although he's probably still writing that.
Yeah.
But the fan letters, it's like the same gimmick over and over. How many different reader contribution? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's like when Rachel Bryson of Candler, North Carolina asks, Dear Brett, what's your favorite vacation spot that you'd bring your family to? Brett answers, Dear Rachel, it would have had to be in Honolulu, Hawaii. I think that's paradise. Like,
He
how
didn't
long
mention the Bolsheviks in that?
did not.
No.
Did not give his props to the Bolsheviks. And then you've got another column, this one from Bret Hart's son, Dallas.
Oh, boy.
He's probably older than us at this point. It's called For Kids Only. I don't know what the fuck
You
wants
shouldn't
to talk
read it
about.
because it's for kids only.
Yeah, exactly.
Scoop Sullivan.
Yes, this was Vince Russo's comic strip. Yes. So he talks about him becoming the biggest star in the WWF and challenging like Jerry Lawler. Got our video game ad for WrestleMania, the arcade game, which actually wasn't a bad game as far as these things went. Do you remember the arcade game?
It's pretty good. It was like Mortal Kombat, but with
like
WWF.
cartoony.
Yeah.
And then we finish off with an ad for Karate Fighters. What are your memories of the Karate Fighters?
Terrible memories.
All right, so that wraps up our 2 issues of WWF
Well, hold
Magazine.
on, let's give that a grade.
Oh, thank you. I didn't like it as much as the King Duggan one. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't either. I found that magazine to be not good.
A little lazy.
I would give it like a 4.
I'm gonna say 4.3, just to be just a little more scientific with it.
Sure.
It's not quite a 5. Like nobody's gonna ever confuse it with a 5.
Was there even a merchandise catalog in that magazine?
There was no merchandise catalog.
The guy gave it a 3.
Well,
how is there no merchandise? I guess this is a really dark period for wrestling, the industry as a whole, but business had to have been in the shitter at this point.
It absolutely.
They're not even selling merchandise in the magazine at this point. The magazine is probably, this is the beginnings of like Vince Russo turning it around.
I think you have to go to America Online to get the merch at that point.
Pretty awful magazine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah.
The Duggan magazine is fucking Saving Private Ryan compared to. That's a bad example. WWF Magazine with Duggan on the cover is Moby Dick compared to this fucking piece of trash.
It has not aged well. I will say both magazines very slick, very polished, had a lot of information in them, but obviously King Duggan was far and away the better bet there.
Yeah.
Right. Stu, any closing thoughts on this edition of WWF Magazine?
I think we need to do it again sometime. It's a lot of fun, and I think every other episode should probably just be one of these because it's easy to record. It's a lot of fun, and we get to handle WWF magazines.
Talk about lazy writing.
How can you go wrong? Shout out to Vince Russo. Shout out to Bill Napolitano. Shout out to
this is Bill Napolitano. I think you're thinking George Napolitano.
George Napolitano.
He doesn't work for this magazine. No. Keith Elliott Greenberg. Cable Guy Jeff.
Vic Venom.
Vic Venom.
Shout out to
Lou Gianfrido.
Lou Gianfrido. Can't go wrong with him. Susan Fox, Steve Taylor. Let's give a shout out to Ed Riccuti, Alina Relicuzo, Bob Nover, Tom Buchanan, Lyndon Ishbal, Roy Green, Jean Abbott. Howard Finkel was the technical advisor back then. The field editor, Keith Elliott Greenberg, Lou Gianfrido, Midge Bacon, Mark Tobias, Troy Santee.
So I'm not going to read all the same names, but I'll read you some. So the vice president is Robert S. Mitchell, Vince Russo's editor. Steve Taylor had gone like all York Foundation. He's now Stephen H. Taylor.
Oh.
Jane Mahoney's the creative director, so I got you there.
About time.
Georgette McClure, Midge Bacon.
Oh, Midge Bacon was still around because she was in here too. Yeah.
She's a hell of a copy editor. How about Troy Santee?
Who? Is he on your LinkedIn?
Troy Santee did the.
Wait, was Troy Santee still employed in '89?
I don't think so.
Let me see. What was his position?
He was the assistant art director.
Yeah, we didn't give those credits back then.
Donna Schmerzler is the photo editor.
Midge Bacon, though, she was working.
Midgie's there. And then lastly, Craig Casanelli is the advertising director back then.
Yeah.
Good old Craig's. We've given props to all the right people.
Yes.
I am at Canadian Bulldog on Twitter. Please follow me. Tell your friends about this podcast. And you on Twitter are...
I'm Stu Stone. Very easy. STUSTONE.
Thanks for listening, as always, and we'll see you next time round.
Shout out to Cable Guy Jeff.
Yes.